made by a high-end coffee shop. The final step is to pour water in quickly to avoid the formation of accidental milk nuggets. If all this is done just perfectly, you have a product you can savor and truly start the day off right. On the way down the valley, we tried contouring the mountainside, but found rotting snow and dry, grassy ridges. So we dropped to the valley bottom. Prefrontal winds slid down the valley, shaking trees and last year's grasses. It wasn't long before our fatigue-addled brains connected a few ideas. Frozen braids of the Chekazan River formed a flat, slick surface, and we had the perfect sail. We traveled nearly 10 kilometers in 20 minutes.
We'll hit the road. Yeah. Got it.
We weathered a furious but short storm in the trees that afternoon, but by the evening the sky was clearing. A characteristic northwest wind scoured the high peaks. Now we were really content being in the shelter of the valley's trees. In the morning, we plowed through fresh snow with sticky climbing skins to reach the summit of Spectrum Pass. We followed Wolverine tracks down and west into the Rainbow Creek drainage. Soon we were back in the land of trees, trails, and bears. Lots of fresh tracks, but no visitations. Our cache from 2 weeks previous was still hanging from its tree, so we feasted on the yummy treats it contained. The early morning presented good weather for crossing the lake to retrieve our kayaks from the west shore. Do not use in high wind, rapid currents, open water, or dangerous tides. Follow these rules to avoid drowning, paralysis, or other serious injury. Uh-oh.
So, I'm going to go for a paddle across the lake, get our kayaks. It's a little bit blowing, it's a bit of a breeze, but who knows, might work. Only thing I wish is we should have bought the $40 boat instead of the $20 boat. It's a little small. So we got to redesign this a little bit. These shovel paddles don't work. I think just one big kayak paddle will work better. Shovel paddle's putting too much stress here. I'm not being able to get enough pull.
The wind and the waves were too strong to allow much forward movement once near the end of the point of land our camp was on. The view looking out into the middle of the lake was scary, as it was becoming all too obvious that the Pacific frontal system was coming on land and the initial winds were already here. Disappointedly, we realized that we had made a major mistake. Our premium Canadian whiskey had been misplaced and was now across 4 kilometers of open water in one of the kayaks at Farrow Creek. Even if I could get across, how would I tow the empty kayak back across a lake that had 30 to 70 kilometer winds and 1 to 2 meter whitecaps? There is no simple hiking route around the lake, as the south shore is not walkable. 3 days after arriving at the beach, the granddaddy of all spring storms arrived. It was early May, and the storm came in from the north and dropped its load of snow from Vancouver to Calgary. Chilko Lake boiled with the north wind. We froze by our fire or in our damped down bags. We called the water taxi. Yes, this is a very unsporting thing to do, but we figured we could afford it, but just barely. One strong motivating factor was that our food was running out. Hunger, cold, and big waves seemed like an unhappy combination. Roland Class plowed his driveway in the Nemaia Valley. He drove his boat to the water and then bounced his way down the lake to us. While standing in hip-deep water loading the kayaks into the powerboat, I realized what a good choice we had made. We could be home within 12 hours. By the time we were in Nemaia Valley, Roland offered us a stay at his bed and breakfast. The evening could not have been spent in a more welcoming, warm place. We had had an amazing trip. The mountain tour was easy like a good dream, and like all good adventures, there's always room for an interesting twist. We got a bit of that at the end.